Hello, my name is Arike Michelle. I am a mother, a grandmother, and an advocate. I'm also a healer and a survivor. For nearly 4 decades, I've been the voice for Black women and girls enduring trauma. I've dedicated my life to uplifting the broken, creating spaces of refuge and healing, and building tools for those in the field to better support us, women of color. After years of recovering from being a domestic violence survivor, nothing could prepare me for the moment I'd become a survivor of gun violence. You see, 8 days before I was scheduled to present this very toolkit that we were co-developing to train yourselves, the police officers, hospital workers, and providers on how to support survivors of trauma, I myself was shot 3 times. 3 bullets delivered not by a stranger, but by the son of a woman I called friend, a young Black man who had been suffering from unaddressed trauma since childhood. This young man had been abusing his mother since the age of 9, from trying to poison her to breaking plates over her legs and leaving her bruised, terrified, and paralyzed by fear. Yet she never called the police, not once. Why? Because as a Black mother, she was terrified that her son would be consumed by a system that is not built to heal, but to destroy. She feared the courts. She feared prison. She feared what the system would do to her already broken child. And like so many of us Black and BIPOC single mothers, she suffered in silence. Her silence nearly cost both of us our lives. He shot her 4 times after he shot me 3. I survived, but just barely. I ended up in a coma for 4 days, and when I woke up in the ICU, the nightmare didn't end. I was groggy, confused, drugged to the point I couldn't stop talking or think straight for 2 more days. And when I finally came to myself, I began to cry loudly and uncontrollably from the pain in my body and the weight on my spirit of what had just happened. A nurse rushed in, not with comfort, but with contempt. She looked me dead in the face and said, "What's all this crying about? You finally got some rest. We're not going to have all this crying, and I don't want to hear about all that Black love stuff either." Yes, she said that, while I lay there, barely alive, still in critical condition from bullets that tore through my flesh. I must have been speaking in my drug-induced state about my mission, my purpose, my legacy that I've given my life to, but to her, it was Black love stuff, something to dismiss, something to silence. What followed was weeks of cruelty disguised as care. My locks, which were down to my back, were left unwashed for 7 weeks. My skin, never lotioned, became dry, cracked, and damaged. And my traditional Yoruba beads, gifted to me after learning I was a Yoruba woman of West Nigeria, were cut off my body and thrown into the trash. Those beads were very sacred. They were my identity. And they were discarded like garbage because no one had a clue who I was, what I valued, or what I endured. I asked, had it been a cross, would you have tossed it in the trash? Then they sent in clergy, completely disconnected from my truth, to offer prayers that did nothing but kind of aggravate my spirit. I spent over an hour teaching the chief of staff how to care for a person of color in trauma. I wasn't just a patient. I was a woman healing from bullets, racism, cultural disrespect, and total disregard for my humanity. Even the food they served was unfit to eat. It was filled with salt, preservatives, and sugar, not the nourishment a healing body needs. And the stress from all of it led me into another health crisis. I didn't know I was having a heart attack. I just knew I couldn't breathe. I begged 4 nurses who were in my room to give me a full oxygen mask, and they refused. Instead, they argued with me and said, "Michelle, your oxygen levels look fine." But I kept begging. Finally, they gave it to me, but by then it was too late. I pointed to my chest, and then everything went black. 4 days later, I woke up from another coma. This one, stress-induced myopathy. Another brush with death, and still, I was not done fighting. The only organization that stood by me was this organization right here, the Massachusetts Women of Color Network. Despite having 2 other contracts, I never heard from those employers ever again. They just let me go. But the Massachusetts Women of Color Network, they showed up for me. They paid my rent, they fed me, they loved me. The executive director, Kashana Osei, she drove over an hour to bring me soup, to rub my feet, to sing prayers and songs over my body when I couldn't even lift my own head. And Chastity, my co-consultant on this project, it was because of her driving an hour from Boston to Haverhill when I didn't answer her calls. She just knew something wasn't right. She asked for my address, and that's how they found out that I had been shot. That is what support looks like. That is what a support system looks like. That is what trauma-informed care should look and feel like. So I'm here now, alive, scarred, but not broken, and I'm here to tell you we must do better. This toolkit is not just a binder of information. It's not just a checkbox in training hours. This is about saving lives. It's about ensuring that when a woman of color shows up in the ER or at the police station or in the provider's office, that she is seen, she is heard, and she is treated with dignity that every human being deserves, especially those who have already survived the unthinkable. We need providers of color. We need culturally competent care. We need people trained not just to treat, but to understand. We need allies who are willing to unlearn, to relearn, and grow alongside of us. And we need systems that stop re-traumatizing us while pretending to help. See, I survived a murder attempt, medical racism, and institutional neglect. I am still healing, but I'm showing up here because this work matters. This training matters. Our lives matter. Black survivors matter. And to those who are still suffering in silence that might see this, know this, that you are not alone. We see you at the Massachusetts Women of Color Network, and we fight for you, and we will not stop fighting for you. Thank you so much for your time.